So, welcome everyone. Welcome to the new contributor orientation November 2025 AMER session. So, before we start off, we have a few housekeeping items. Firstly, this meeting is recorded and will be published on YouTube. All meetings in the Kubernetes community abide by a code of conduct, which you can find at the link on the bottom of the slide. It basically sums up to please be respectful of the speakers and your fellow attendees and generally be excellent to each other. Please use the chat to ask any sort of questions and have discussions throughout this call. There will also be a Q&A session at the end where we basically encourage you to ask questions verbally if you would like to. You can also ask them in chat. It's totally fine. Also, a copy of these slides will be available on GitHub, and the link is also in the meeting invite. We will post the link in the chat as well. One important note that the slides on the GitHub are provided as a PDF. So the links in the deck are not clickable as displayed on GitHub, but they should be clickable if you download the file. So these are some of the housekeeping items we have. Now, next we have is agenda. So the purpose of this meeting is to orient you in the Kubernetes community. That basically means giving you a sense of how community works and what your part is or what your part could be within it. So we will basically start off with a presentation to convey information about the community. Then we will have a Q&A section as I have stated earlier as well. So again, you are welcome to ask any sort of questions. Now, again, you can also check out the recording on YouTube. So after this session is recorded, and you can always check it out on YouTube as well. So in agenda, we will be going through what is what is Kubernetes, the Kubernetes community structure, and what it actually means to be a contributor, and most importantly, how you can start contributing. And we will also be covering what are the current work opportunities, like what are the current opportunities where you can contribute. And at last, we will be also talking about some contribution pitfalls where generally new contributors stuck, and then we have a Q&A session as well. So now, moving on to the next slide, let me introduce myself. I am Arpit Agarwal. I am a contributor in Kubernetes community for past 2.5 years. I also author LWKD, which is last week in Kubernetes developments. It's basically an article. Professionally, I am working as a technical writer in Defton. So, yeah, let's get started. So let's dive in. Now, the Kubernetes community is a very big group of people who work together to create and maintain the Kubernetes project. This is a photo from Maintainer Summit EU 2025. And here are some of the stats numbers to give you a sense of just how big the Kubernetes community is. So we track data about our contributors via GitHub and a few other contributor tools, and we collect them in a tool called DevStats. This is basically a big database of information about Kubernetes contributions, and you are welcome to explore it yourself. So basically, these stats are pulled in March 2025. At that time, we had over 94K contributors who had made over 4 million contributions, and all of these contributions are reviewed by just 7.8 thousand people with the reviewer privileges. So we will be talking more about what a contribution might mean or who a reviewer might be. Uh, in a little later in this presentation, so stay tuned. Now, Now, like before we deep dive, before we dive deeper into the community, some of you may be unfamiliar with what Kubernetes is and what it does. So, Kubernetes is basically an open source container orchestration tool. So, open source means that it is made by people around the world, some of whom are paid to work on it, but many of them are volunteers. And the code of the Kubernetes software is publicly available under an open source license. And that license basically describes exactly who, when, and how the software and its code can be used. And the cool thing that Kubernetes does is orchestrate containers. So I know there are some confusing terms. Maybe one of them is like orchestrate. So we will be like covering it now. So like let's go over what that means actually. So uh, any sort of business. So businesses have many applications which they need to run. For example, they may have a payroll system or a logistic applications or a company website or anything else. So this is basically an app that any business wants to run. And then businesses also have computers, or yeah, this is a server. A server is basically a computer, and computer is basically a server. So, businesses have a lot of computers to run these applications on. Now, when I say computer, that can be anything. That can be a cloud VM as well. So, regardless whether it is a cloud infrastructure or on-prem, businesses have computers. So basically, what Kubernetes enables uh, businesses is businesses can say like, "Hey Kubernetes, here are the computers I have, and here is the app I need to run on it." So um, basically, businesses will tell Kubernetes that Kubernetes can describe various levels of details about how the application needs to run or the hardware it might need, and Kubernetes will run it on those computers for the businesses. Kubernetes also provides some handy functionalities for managing those applications while those applications are running. For example, there can be a case where you need to upgrade the application while it's running to a new version. So Kubernetes help you to do that. Now, exactly how Kubernetes does all of this magic is what Kubernetes contributors work to maintain and improve every day. Now, let's move forward. So I've explained like what Kubernetes does in a very short way. Feel free to explore it more, and if you have any questions, you can ask in the Q&A or you can ask in the Slack as well. But let's now move uh, to the Kubernetes community structure. Let's now learn more about how contributors build Kubernetes. Uh, so this is this is how the community structure looks like. Uh, Let me break it down for you. So, as I have told you, Kubernetes is an open source project, right? And basically, Kubernetes comes under Cloud Native Computing Foundation. Its abbreviation is CNCF. So, the CNCF is a non-profit organization with the stated mission to make cloud native ubiquitous. Now, to that end, they support many open source projects that enable companies to run applications in the cloud. Then the CNCF provides a variety of guidance and support to its projects, including legal support, code of conduct, help with logos and copyright, and many more. So the pyramid below the CNCF represents the structure of the Kubernetes community. So at the top of the pyramid, in we have the CNCF, and then the next what we have is the steering committee. So steering committee is a body of 7 members. Now these 7 members are elected by Kubernetes org member. So what it means to be a Kubernetes org member, we will be getting there soon. but these steering committee members are elected by Kubernetes org members. And then we have 6 working groups. So let me make it simplify for you. Uh, Kubernetes project is very large, so there are many concepts within the project itself, and these need unique skills and knowledge. For example, the way Kubernetes node works, where workloads are run, do what they do, is one area of expertise. Meanwhile, the challenge of writing and maintaining the Kubernetes docs is another area of expertise, which needs separate skill set. Uh, Similarly, for managing the Kubernetes infrastructure, you need we need folks with separate skill set. So basically, people who work on specific areas of the project gather together in what are called special interest group. So basically, the full form of SIG is special interest groups. Uh, to simplify it, if you want to relate better, I would say you can take it as a team. Like in a traditional company, we have multiple teams, like a front end team, a back end team, a DevOps team. Likewise, we have multiple SIGs in Kubernetes community. Let's say SIG architecture, SIG network, or SIG contracts, who is also responsible for hosting this NCO uh, meeting. So you can take SIG as a team. Now, sometimes what happens is folks need to collaborate, like different teams have to collaborate, and uh, there are some areas where there is a collaboration between multiple sides, like a particular area where a particular skill set is not sufficient, and we uh, like a area that needs attention, that are both that basically lies in the domain of multiple SIGs. So sometimes what happens, like folks from different SIGs uh, group together and work on a particular problem, and that is what are called as working groups. Let's say there is a particular project or a problem which needs to be tackled with multiple SIGs. Then what happens is instead of a particular SIG handling that project or a problem, uh, multiple SIGs form a working group, and a working group is basically consists of folks from different SIGs, and that working group is responsible for tackling that problem or a project. Now, our sorry, defining trait of working group is that they generally don't own any code. So basically, owns a code for a particular project, but a working group don't own any code or features. So if you have that person, then what happens to a working group? So after a project is completed, either the working group is dissolved, or if the project is big enough to have a separate attention, so a working group is basically converted to a SIG. Either way, either working group dissolves or it becomes a SIG. So working group don't own a code directly. This is one note about working group. Then we have sub projects. Now within a SIG itself, work can be quite broad. So SIGs divide their works in multiple sub projects. So for example, SIG docs have one project for uh, documentation, like maintaining Kubernetes documentation, and there is one localization project as well, where they localize Kubernetes documentation in multiple languages. So this is an example, and we will be talking about SIGs, how to navigate them in further slides. Now, so Kubernetes has 24 SIGs, 7 working groups, and 3 committees as of now. Now, moving had like some groups basically these are how multiple SIGs are divided. Some groups are basically operate at the project level and all other work in the project that depends on that project. So like for horizontal ones, some groups work at the horizontal level, meaning that they have technical focus that is both deep and broad and own core functionality from a project, such as SIG architecture. They basically focuses on the architecture, so that is both technically broad and deep. Then we have vertical groups, uh, which have like a specific technical focus that depends on the work of the horizontal groups, and of course both horizontal and vertical groups depends on the work of the project groups. So these are how multiple SIGs are grouped. You can have a look at all the SIGs. You can have a look at all the SIGs grouped together by their levels in this diagram. So basically, to call out just a few, SIG release and docs are groups whose work you might be familiar with, because SIG release manages Kubernetes release that happens, and SIG docs basically maintains Kubernetes documentation. Though you may and yes, both operators the project scope. Though you may not have known it, you have probably encountered the work of SIG API machinery and SIG auth before. We consider these to be horizontal groups. Uh, and in the vertical groups, you can also find a lot of familiar concepts like auto scaling, scheduling, networking, and node. You might want to refer back to this diagram later as you are exploring groups to contribute to. Also, you can ask any type of questions during the Q&A. And yes, now the most important question, like why contribute? And now that you have learned the basics of how the community is structured, let's start exploring where you fit in. So let's like briefly discuss why you should contribute. Now, there can be multiple reasons, of course. For some, their job requires it. There are also contributors who work with the community on purely volunteer basis. There are also those who are somewhere in the middle where their work needs them to contribute sometimes, but they also do extra work for the community outside of their job. So why do so many people contribute without getting paid? Like that can be one question that comes to your mind. Now, maybe they want to grow some specific skills for their resume, or maybe they want to meet people working in the industry. Maybe they just think the technology is cool and they want to deep dive and help build it. Or sometimes folk just like being part of a community of people or working towards a similar goal. Now, there are many reasons to contribute, but you should think carefully about why you want to contribute. And as you go get more engaged with the community, you will get more out of it if you can clearly tell people what you want. So basically, if you make your intentions clear, and you can basically drop a message in a Slack, like, "Hey everyone, I am interested in this and this. How can I start contributing?" And folks will help you out. So like uh, that is why it is very important to know why you want to contribute. Now, like regardless of why you are interested in contributing, you are maybe you are probably wondering what it means to be a contributor. So uh, to answer that question of what it means to be a contributor, let's first explore what might count as a contribution. Like, what is a contribution? So the truth, basic truth is that any work that you do to support the open source Kubernetes project. Now, I know that sounds broad and vague, but it's important. So there's a lot of work contributors, like there are a lot of contributors who do behind the scenes to make this project run, and it's certainly not all writing code and making pull requests on GitHub. Just an example, like uh, Kubernetes community, whenever there's a KubeCon or something, CNCF has an event team, and for Kubernetes community as well, like running this NCO meeting, this is not part of writing any sort of code or like maintaining the communications or like collaborating between SIGs, maintaining documentation. These are all uh, forms of contributions which does not require you to write code. So yeah. Now, here is a list of what you can begin with. These are some of the very basic things, but these can help you get started. So it can be like taking notes during a community meeting. Now, what is a community meeting and how you can join one? We will be discussing it in the later slides. But like the NCO is also a community meeting, so you are already a part of a community meeting. So congratulations on that. That also counts as a contribution. You can also ask a question on Slack. Then you can like if you spot some grammatical or spelling errors in the documentation, you can obviously correct them. Then you can implement a new feature, or you can be a part of a release. You can comment on a cap. So cap is basically a Kubernetes enhancement proposal, or basically an issue. You can file an issue, and you can write a blog post. Then you can also help a fellow contributor work through a problem, and like much more. But these are some of the very basic things which you can start as. Now, let's talk about the contributor ladder. So there are varying levels, like there are multiple levels of being a contributor. You might remember from our slides earlier that we mentioned that contributors and reviewers. So basically, this particular slides deep dive into more detail on what those terms actually means. So starting at the bottom, anyone can be a contributor. If you do any of the things mentioned in the previous slides and more, you are already a contributor. If you contribute to the community in any way, then you might be what we call a non-member contributor. That means that you pop into the community and contribute like in small disconnected ways. But if you want to really get involved with the community, you might want to go for the org membership. So remember at the time when I told you that steering committee members are elected by Kubernetes org member. So an org members basically refers to a member of the Kubernetes organization on GitHub. So being an org member gives you higher privileges to interact with the tools contributors use to do their work. Like we have a Prow bot on GitHub, which basically helps you apply labels, configure issues using GitHub commands. Also, having org membership is a sign that you are active. You are a contributor that anyone can reach out, and who basically intend to contribute in more structured ways within the community. You are not just picking up a single issue or asking a one-off question. You are probably developing expertise in a certain area of the project. You might be contributing to one or more sub projects or six inconsistent. So you will be ready to become a Kubernetes org member when contributors you work with, uh, like when the contributors you work with regularly are familiar with your work and will vouch for you as sponsors on a request for membership. So, like to simply break down, if you are active in the community and your fellow contributors knows you, You might want to you can ask them to sponsor you uh, for the org membership. And like raising an org membership request is really easy. You just need to file an issue, and you just want to list down your contributions, and you need two sponsors. So yeah, let's move forward. Now, after becoming an org member, there are increasing levels of trust, ownership, and responsibility. So basically, once you have engaged in an area for a while, now you might have enough knowledge to help review contributions or pull requests from other contributions like contributors. Now that basically means that now you have enough knowledge to basically review someone else pull requests, and uh, basically that is it. That is when you became a reviewer. Now eventually you might be trusted enough in the community to have the final say whether some code is merged or a contribution is accepted and displayed on something like kubernetes.io website. Then you be an approver. Now a basic difference between reviewer and approver is reviewer just reviews something, but a reviewer cannot approve the changes. So being an approver means you can approve the changes and you have the final say whether a particular change goes live or not. Now, if you become a strong expert in a specific area who is highly trusted and regarded for your expertise, you might want to take on new responsibilities. You might become the person that others come to for questions, and you might lead trial sessions or other work for the area. At that point, you might be a sub project owner. Basically, you are contributing to a sub project, and you have developed such expertise that everyone around you for that particular sub project reaches you out, and you have that credibility. Now, if you are an expert who starts leading things in that area, you might also take on responsibility for various resources within that area and how they relate to other parts of the project. For example, you might take responsibility for the README file, defining a whole sub project, which is where people would go to learn about that project. And you uh, might become the contact person who tries requests for from other parts of the project. At that point, you might be a sub project lead. Now, if you are leading a whole sub project, that's already a considerable chunk of work within a SIG. You probably interacting and collaborating with leads of other sub projects at this point, and you are probably developing a pretty strong sense of the mission, objectives, and ongoing work of the SIG as a whole. So at that point, you may become a chair or a tech lead for an entire SIG. If you remember our community structure diagram from earlier, you might wonder if becoming a member of a steering committee would be a next step. But as I told you, steering is an elected position. You can actually run for steering at a point past org membership. That basically means if you are org member, you can basically stand for the election, but you will be more likely to get elected the better other contributors know you and your work. Now, basically, this ladder might seem like one true part or a corporate ladder, but like I want to remind you that there is no single path or your like there's not a single part for your contribution journey. Most contributors end up contributing in multiple areas of the project, not just a particular area. Some people even develop ownership in like different SIGs, like at the same time. Like just because you are learning and contributing in one SIG, it does not mean you cannot check out another. Remember, like most contributors are at least partially volunteers. Almost everyone contributing is like almost everyone contributing is doing it because they love it. So you can look around, find what you love, and do that. There's no hard and fast rule. Now, how you can start contributing? So, as we have already discussed, you might already be a non-member contributor at this point. But if you want to do more, let's explore where you can start. So, the fastest way to learn and make yourself useful is simple. Find a SIG or a sub project you are interested in and start attending that SIG meetings and keep attending meetings. So, MCO is also a form of a meet, but this is to onboard new contributors. Every SIG has meetings of their own, and those are public. So you need to keep attending those. Now, attending meetings is a great way to understand what a SIG do, and you might be overwhelmed at first, but this is what I have also gone through. But just keep attending meetings, and you will get the heck of it. Now, to join a SIG, you need to join the Kubernetes Slack. Here's the link to join the Kubernetes Slack, and you can also join the KDev mailing list, like Kubernetes developer Google group. So this is the group where Kubernetes community send official emails, so you can be a part of it. Now, let's discuss about how to identify like which SIG you want to join, how to learn about them. So basically, what you can do, you can check out Kubernetes/community repo on GitHub, right? And uh, then you will find a list of all the SIGs. Like every SIG has a folder in that repo. Now, and you will also find a folder for each working group. Uh, so when you click on a SIG folder in the community repo, it will show you the folders README at the top of this file. You will find a brief summary of the SIG focus area, like what the SIG particularly do, and likely a link to their more detailed team charter. So the charter will give you a broad, high-level idea of what the SIG does. Uh, Now, next, what you will find is the summary of all the meetings they had. Like we discussed earlier that you need to attend meetings in order to understand what a SIG really does. So here you will find all the links, and you will also find the meeting notes for those as well, where you can try to understand what a SIG is basically discussing from past couple of meetings. So yeah, and one tip from my side, if you are going to attend a particular SIG meetings, you might want to check out their previous meeting notes. I know there can be a case where you might be overwhelmed, but at least you will have the keywords in your mind, like what the folks in the meeting will be discussing. So you can always ask a question like, I am a new contributor over here, or I joined for the first time. Can you please explain what you are working on? Or I have gone through the previous meeting notes. This like you can ask all this. Now, after that, you will also find information about the SIG's leadership. Like most SIGs have both concept of chairs and technical leads. So these leaders are at the same level of trust and responsibilities, but likely on different types of tasks for supporting the SIG. So chairs basically tend to do more project management type work for a SIG, while tech leads tend to do more architecture leadership, like managing repos, certain kind of technical decision processes. So each SIG defines what these roles mean to them, and each leader will be a little different. So it is like same as like different teams in a particular company have different leads, and uh, they all like each team in a company is slightly different. Same way, each SIG in the Kubernetes community is slightly different, but all of the SIGs are welcoming, and you can like hop onto their meets, try to understand, and most importantly, you need to ask. Like if you have any sort of doubt or anything, you want to ask about it. So yeah, now after that, you will also find the contact information for the SIG. So most SIGs in the Kubernetes community do a lot of asynchronous communication in their Kubernetes Slack channel. So you can join a particular SIG channel, and you can basically also look at the previous messages uh, on what they are talking about or like what's going on. So like if you find that the meeting is, let's say, the next week, you miss this week meeting, so might like you if you don't like to wait, you can always put a message on a particular SIG channel that you are interested in contributing, or you have gone through the meeting notes, and you understood like this is a particular thing you are working in, and you are also interested in it, so how you can contribute. Now each SIG also has a mailing list, like important announcement for all contributors for that SIG will go out to their mailing list. So the mailing list will also be invited to all SIG meetings via Google Calendar. So if you want to receive updates about a particular SIG, you can join the specific mailing list for that SIG. Now you will also find some information about where to find issues and PR related to the SIG, and other information like the GitHub teams that are part of that SIG. So yes, and every contributor should join the Kubernetes uh, developer Google group, also known as KDEV. So this mailing list is the primary way for Kubernetes uh, communication, and it is important for all contributors. Now we also have a Kubernetes community calendar. So this calendar basically lists all the meetings from all the different SIGs. So in case you don't want to go to the GitHub and search for a particular meeting, you can always open the Kubernetes community calendar. So uh, basically, the community maintains a contributor website at kates.dev, and within kates.dev, we have a page uh, with all the information about all the public community meetings. So you can go to kates.dev/calendar to see a list of all meetings. Now, clicking on a particular meeting will bring up a new window for you, and to add a meeting to your own calendar, uh, you can add via that window. Now, this can be a great way to get a sense of which groups meets at times. So basically, you can figure out a way to understand what are the timings that suits you the best, because the meetings are like meetings are in different time zones depending on where you are. So like a simple example, I am in Indian Standard Time Zone, so for me it's late evening, but for some of you it might be early morning. So you can figure out like what timings are suiting you and stuff. Now let's discuss about current work opportunities, where you can contribute and where you can start contributing. Uh, you might also want to know if there is a particular SIG that is actively looking for volunteers. So this is where we inform you about that. Now, there are some evergreen opportunities for you. Now, most SIGs have meeting note taking. So, generally, every SIG in the meeting, somebody is assigned to take notes for that particular meeting. Now, it like personally, if you as a new contributor, if you start the note taking, it basically helps you a lot to understand what the SIG is working on, especially when you are not getting or you are overwhelmed. Uh, like continuously taking meeting notes for a couple of meetings will help you figure out like what it is, what they are working on. Also, it helps you to ask better questions as you go on and keep attending. So yeah, it is like always available, and most sub projects have that, and no experience is required. Now we also have SIG Spotlight blog, but that is currently on hold due to we don't have enough reviewers to review blogs. So if you want to be a reviewer and if you have expertise in reviewing blogs, you can consider checking out SIG Docs, and you might consider becoming a reviewer. Now we also have maintainer summit staff. So basically, this is an in-person event, and for this, org membership is required. So if you want to contribute in person, you can check out this. Now then we have requirement from SIG where uh, the folks are required to review PRs. Then we have PR Wrangler Shadow program. It is basically to get new contributors started. So you basically shadow a particular PR cycle. Then we have new contributor meet and greet from SIGDocs that happens every first Tuesday of the month and at 10:30 UTC. Now you can get more info about it at k/community/SIGDocs. Now SIG architecture also have a general call for help. So they want volunteers to contribute in multiple areas. Then okay, so there are also tasks which require you to be skilled specifically. So evergreen opportunities are great because they represent work that always needs doing and which is likely well defined. But a lot of work is in one off style. Uh, so an issue that needs fixing or work on a new feature, let's say, many of these type of tasks require certain skills to complete. You might see an open request that requires a skill you want to develop and think you should pick up the task to learn. But be wary of doing this. So if the task was easy for someone already in the SIG to do, it probably wouldn't be an open request, right? So many requests will with the skill requirement are open because no one in the community currently has those skills, or so they cannot teach you as well, or they may be open because people who do have those skills are too busy and cannot pick up more work, and that's basically include helping others as well, because most folks are contributing voluntarily with their jobs or with some other work. So yes, like, but if you are coming to the Kubernetes community with existing skills like certain programming languages or specific technical skills like Linux networking or expertise, or like you are expert in a certain cloud provider, these these tasks could be a great opportunity for you to contribute to the community. But like with this warning also, I would highly encourage you, like if you want to develop some skills, you can always ask out uh, uh, to some lead, or like you can ask out in the SIG meeting, like whether they are available or not. Now let's talk about some new opportunities. So SIG API machinery have like where are welcoming new contributors. So uh, they wanted help with some good first issues, and also they have meetings at every first Tuesday of the month at 9 a.m. PSC or 4 p.m. UTC. So they require help with a particular sub project, that is declarative validation, and there's also an umbrella issue for that. So you can check out SIG API machinery, and again, I am reminding you that you can join the SIG meeting and you can also ask in the Slack. Now, this slide let's call for help that requires certain skills. If you are familiar with the tools or skills listed, please reach out in the appropriate SIG channel. So, SIG contracts require website maintenance, uh, like help for website maintenance. You should know how your docs are working. Then we have mentoring, program management, and electro. So you can check these out and reach out to the particular six. Now again, for sick dogs, there are a requirement of more reviewers, and then sick testing also require help with PROW and conformance testing. And these are a couple of more six which requires your help. So you can always check them out. Now there's some contribution pitfalls, which is basically our most common pitfall is falling into the good first issue trap. So the scenario is something like this: you are a new prospective contributor, and you are really excited to make your mark on the community, right? So you find an issue with the good first issue label on GitHub. You think, great, I will uh, claim this issue, write some code, and I will have contributed to Kubernetes. Yay! But let's take a step back, right? So once you pick up that good first issue, how are you going to complete it? Now, I mentioned earlier that Kubernetes community uses tools like ProwBot, right, to help us manage issues. So, are you familiar with the bot? It's fine if you are not. Maybe you will start writing code. Those reviewers, approvers, and owners we mentioned will appear to make sure that the issue has the right labels and stuff on it. Once you have written your code, you will also need to get their attention to review your PR. Remember, there's a lot more contributors than there are reviewers. So when you make your PR, reviewers and approvers will be automatically assigned. But what if there are issues in your code? You might need to go back and forth with the reviewers on GitHub. Are you comfortable using commands and pull requests to see the work through your completion? So basically, you need to do a lot of back and forth. Maybe reviewers suggest some changes, then you might need to implement it. So you will go through the entire PR cycle. So what happens is most good first issues and most good first issues that are picked up by new non-member contributors never make it to completion. So the code never gets checked in, and the community has all stale issues and PRs sitting around for work we really needed done. But the person got lost and ended up abandoning their contribution halfway. Then those reviewers ended up then those reviewers, approvers, and owners have to go through the process of try aging the issue and opening it again, or whatever else they might do with it. So you can avoid all this by joining a SIG and like sticking with it. So basically, when you go through the good when you okay, let me rephrase it. When you go through the process, when you want to take entry in the Kubernetes community through GitHub or through the means of good first issue, you might face some friction in terms of writing code, going back and forth, and multiple things happen, right? uh, you raise a PR, yeah, then some changes are there, or it got stuck. By just joining a SIG, you can just ask for it and let folks know that you are working on a particular thing. That means that whatever the PR you raise is getting like it get noticed, or if you are working on a particular thing, it get reviewed, and you also in this process knows a lot more folks you can reach out to. Now, I know there was a lot of information today, and this is just the orientation meeting, right? So, when you join your first SIG meeting, you probably going to be overwhelmed. It happens with me. I got overwhelmed for my initial few meetings. A lot of SIG meeting exist for active existing contributors to collaborate with each other on active in progress work. So it is literally hopping in between, right? But that doesn't mean you shouldn't join a new, like you shouldn't join a SIG meeting as a new contributor, because by joining these meetings you will learn faster, and by watching the processes in action, uh, you will get to learn more things. But it might mean that you feel left out and lost like for the first few times, but don't be afraid. It is literally okay to ask questions by speaking up, or you can ask in the chat, or you can ask in the same subject like later. Like it's completely okay that you don't ask any question in the meeting, but you can obviously ask it in the Slack later on. Now, one more thing, the Kubernetes community is really big and a diverse place. It's diverse in terms of people, skills, technologies, and so much more. It might take you while to find the place that clicks with you, right? There might be a particular SIG or sub project where you find more opportunities to build the skills or connections that are more important to you. But don't forget that you can move around and explore other SIGs, other groups within the project as well. Most contributors end up contributing in multiple areas, and many find a particular area that they decide to deep dive on. Uh, Also, no two contributors have the same journey. Like the journey which I have, you cannot have the same, or you cannot replicate it. You will go through your own journey for this process. So you will need to explore to find the best places for you, regardless of which areas you explore. We need your help, and we are glad you are here. Now, again, we covered a lot today. Getting in started with the Kubernetes community needs like learning a lot of basic tools, processes, structures, and more. So you can check out these links. Again, the slides will be available. I will share the link. Now, thank you all. And if you have any questions, you can ask in the chat, or you can ask by unmuting yourself.
Hey,
And I
Arpit, I
want to
have a quick
say,
question for you. Oh, go ahead, Castle.
I just
After
wanted to
you.
say hello and welcome, everyone. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the warm welcome. I have been getting involved a little bit on open source as a brand new contributor and was given some advice to get involved on like technical project management, as I have some background in that. I was looking to get some advice from those who have been long-term contributors as far as where to start as someone who has technical PM experience, but no open source experience. So I'm getting into Cert Manager as I'm a CyberArk employee and we're the primary maintainers there. But also have a passion for Kubernetes. So I figured I'd pop in here and see if there's something within the security space, as Caslin suggested, or any other ideas or thoughts would be very helpful as I start this journey. Thank you.
Whichever group gets you, everybody else is going to be jealous. Just going to say.
Yeah. Your skills can be used just about anywhere in the project, which is cool. And like just because you join Contribex or SigDocs or whatever it may be, right? It doesn't mean you have to be there for the life of the project, right? Like I started off in docs to kind of learn the process of everything and, helping with Hugo and all that stuff. And then found myself migrating over to ContribX because of what they managed. And,
Mhm.
things like YouTube and Zoom and calendars, all Slack, the whole community infrastructure is kind of run by all volunteers, and helping out with that is where I found my passion. So
Now,
it,
Chris, do you suggest starting in one and then sort of making your way through like as a natural progression, or do you suggest
yes,
maybe starting in okay, starting in one. Got it. Thank you.
yeah, I mean, you have the passion, which is the big part of what you need for this, right? Like open source is all about, you know, channeling your passion into a project. So just because, SIG docs didn't work out for me, there's all these other SIGs. Well, SIG docs was fine, right? Like it was just me, like not
Yeah,
enjoying the day-to-day kind of work, I
sure,
guess,
sure.
in the community. So yeah, finding the right place is the hard part, but getting started finding the right place is very important.
Though we want to be enablers. If you feel up to joining a bunch of different SIG meetings and seeing where you
Yes,
click right at the beginning, you go for it.
right. Like there's no one right answer. There's just my advice, right? Like take it as that.
Got it. Yeah, I figured, you don't know what you don't know. So just popping into different SIG meetings just to get a vibe check and see, what team you mesh the best with is probably a good starting
Yeah.
point, as well as just reading
Yeah.
over all the docs and literature and just getting a lay of the land from, what's out there and documented, right?
Right. Yeah.
You'll
That's a big part of it. Yeah.
Cool.
you'll also
Thank
get
you,
bored
guys.
and fall off if you try to read too much docs. So join some meetings, say hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get some, interaction type stuff going on, and then you can go from there, right? Like any SIG or work group or sub project, even, like they'll all be happy you're there and willing to help. There's no I don't think any group would push people away at this point, right? Like it's just not what we do.
Not intentionally, at the very least.
No, yeah, exactly. Not intentionally. For some folks, it's just like I have this idea and I want to implement it, but then we run up against the problem of scaling things and consistency, and that matters a lot, right? Like if you're going to start, a podcast or anything else, like that's a significant amount of effort, and the regular cadence matters a lot, right? So I used to run a very popular newsletter, and if I missed a week, I heard about it. And it's because people expect the consistent, you know, publishing of a newsletter. And yeah, uh, choose carefully the things you do.
Um, Chris and Kathleen, if you guys were to start over, like if you were to start your open source journey today, what will you do different?
Oh,
Mm.
hmm.
I would
That's a
have
good
tried
question.
another group faster. The group that I tried and fell off of was SIG testing because I
I
have
can
a
see
quality
that.
assurance background. And so I was really excited about the idea of like, how do people use Kubernetes? Can I write some scripts to test Kubernetes for specific user workflows? And that is not what SIGTest does.
Mhm.
SIGTest SIGTest owns a bunch of testing infrastructure and like internal development tools kind of stuff for contributors to uh, test Kubernetes in various ways, but they don't actually write the tests themselves. And maintaining existing tools is a little bit hard to get your foot in the door on.
Yeah, it's
A lot
tough.
of in progress work, a lot of background to catch up on, and busy maintainers who don't have a lot of time to help you do it. So, a lot of stuff that you have to catch up on your own. So, I fell off of that one. And it took me like a year and a half to get back on the bandwagon and find a place in SIG Contribex. I was doing other things like going to meetups and like hanging out in the community, just lurking in a variety of Slacks. But I wish I
Mhm.
had tried more meetings faster to get
Yeah.
more of a vibe check on more places.
And I know time zones are hard, but usually my first go-to thing is attend a meeting for any kind of onboarding into any community, right? Like go to a meeting, see how you feel about it, evaluate, continue on. But like, I think to really kind of get in the groove, it's more like you need to go to like 3 meetings to become somewhat effective. And kind of the first meeting, you get the lay of the land, you introduce yourself to the personalities, and the second meeting, you're kind of, okay, this is what the group does. And the third meeting is kind of where you can say, oh, I can do that.
Thank you. Good advice,
Also,
Chris.
Thank you for joining us.
Also, a pro tip, if you haven't joined Kubernetes new contributors on the Kubernetes Slack yet, please join that channel. There's a contributor who joined recently who's trying to spin up like a peer mentoring program. So pop in there and we'll see if we can get you connected with that.
Also, like to mention, for LWKD, we are looking for new folks to contribute to it. So recently we are sort out on the folks. So let me like just give you a brief on what LWKD is. So LWKD full forms to Last Week in Kubernetes Development. It is an article basically. You can say it's a newsletter which a bunch of folks write and keep it maintained. So it's basically contains what happens in the Kubernetes community in the last week in terms of sub projects, what is a featured PR, like what is the particular developer news for that particular week. So what you can like basically say it's a glimpse for the whole week. So folks who don't have much time or those who are too busy, they basically go through this to check out what happened, and they basically stay updated. So we have multiple sections for the LWKD article. So you can reach out to in SIG Contribex Comms channel. You can also reach out to me directly. Like you can give me a DM. And I will get you connected for that. But we are looking for folks who can contribute to multiple sections for the article. So this is also an open working opportunity.
Yeah, LWKD is a good way to get into the groove of Kubernetes development in general. But it's a fire hose, so any project of this size is going to take time to kind of get acclimated to the way things are done and how a given group does their work. So don't be afraid to ask questions when you join these meetings.
And we're about 5 minutes over, but any last questions? If not, you can find us all on the Kubernetes Slack. Chris and I run a meeting for the community every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific time. If that works for you, we hope we'll see you there.
Yeah, we'll be there. Thank you,
Awesome.
guys.
Yep.
Thank you. Good job, Arpit.
Bye, everyone. And I will be stopping the recording. So for all the YouTube folks, bye-bye to you too. So, yep.
Was there a last question there?
Whoops. No, I don't think so. Or was there?
Not in the
No.
chat. I thought someone was about to speak up. You can turn off the recording, Arpit. Bye, YouTube.
Yeah. So, bye
Bye.
YouTube.